early music and how it's evolved on the production side and on the playing side, I wanted you to explain for the listener or the watcher of Unique Access here. Like, I remember the Larry Smith, for instance, as a producer with Houdini, some of his best work, in my opinion, my favorite work. He had a lot of melody and he had a lot of, you know, instrumentation, and of course Curtis Blow had some of that stuff going on too as a producer. But with Ruthless and with what Dre and Yella were doing, explain in this era of rap what having the live music added, because once the drum machine and sampling came in, a lot of that faded to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it added a feeling to the music that you can't replicate with electronics. Because you can actually feel the vibration of somebody actually playing, you know, compared to just a sample, which is, you know, still somebody playing. But and those records were just definitely, you know, inspirational, because you had the live instrumentation, and it was, you know, hats up to him, because that was some funky material that he came up with.
Shout out to Larry Smith.
Yeah, you know. So, but it just gives you a different sound and different feel of you being an individual, compared to just following the trend and just, you know, using all computer because everybody else do it. You know, sometimes you have to, well, you do have to take a chance and experiment with your sound to go to the next level. And I think that's the next level of anybody that's doing music, that needs to push themselves in their music to go beyond what you're already doing and what everybody else is already doing.
And I think one of the early records that I remember feeling that was with Eazy was We Want Eazy. So was that you?
I played on almost all the Eazy stuff, yeah.
Okay. So We Want Eazy plays off of Bootsy.
Yeah.
So how, like, explain how and coming up with that. Was that Dre, was that Eazy, was that you, like, coming up with that music?
Well, Dre come up with the ideas, you know.
Okay.
And then on that one, it's actually a buddy of mine that played the keyboard on there, Donald Tavey, who's not here, rest in peace, but he used different, you know, elements, you know, to produce whatever it called for, you know. But yeah, I played a lot of guitar on the beginning. I played all the basic guitar and all this stuff from straight out of Compton. Eazy Does It, you know, Michel'le, D.O.C, Above the Law. And, you know, from there, I got phone calls from everybody.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, you know, that kind of set the tone, because that, you know, it really opened the West Coast up to have their own sound and their own voice. And so just working, you know, it was a blessing, and while doing that, it was not planned, you know, didn't nobody know it was going to take off like that. In the beginning stages, everything is real humble, and everybody just having a lot of fun, you know. And that's what it was, just to be hood rich and hood famous, you know, especially doing the N.W.A. stuff, because nobody was going to play no cursing on the radio. So it wasn't meant for the radio. But, you know, Jerry Heller made sure it got to the radio. But I think everybody played a part in there to make it happen, and, you know, it's just from the creator that the universe opened the doors to, you know, establish that and give us the West Coast a voice.
Yeah, and then with We Want Eazy in particular, did you, because that one I'd say is one of the songs that guitar, bass is very prominently featured, probably in the front more even than the drums, a lot of.
Yeah, that was breaking in the funk with that one.
Okay.
Because that kind of established, you know, the funk more so, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're going to do a Bootsy song, you have no choice.
It's
you
gotta
got to
be
do the funky. And you got to assimilate, you know, close as you can to get that funk across, you know, while, you know, keeping your sound. But yeah, that was definitely the funk coming out.
Okay.
Beginning of it.
And then with Michel'le, the silly little love song, I wanted you to kind of explain because of JJ Fad, Eazy-E, N.W.A, Michel'le, they are all very different in a lot of ways. Not only from an artistic standpoint, but sonically. So what was the difference in the studio. Was there a difference vibe-wise of doing a love song with Michel'le versus doing We Want Easy or doing a harder song?
Definitely.
All
Doing
right, break it
R&B
down.
and rap is totally different.
Break it down.
Right. I mean, he kept a rap element in there, as far as the drums and stuff like that. But working with a singer, it takes longer than 20 minutes to go ahead and do their part because it's the tone, their voice has to warm up, and you have to have the right feeling come across. So it takes hours, sometimes to do that, and mixing always takes longer too. But yeah, working on R&B is, for me it's not as hard, but for the singer and the producer, they have to spend more time to make sure they get the right feeling, the right element. So, but yeah, on that album, I played on almost all those songs, No More Lies and Nice D, and I did the solo on No More Lies. But yeah, that was a fun project, working with Michel'le, because just listening to the voice and then listen to her talk and then listen to her sing is
night and day.
Yeah, it's night and day, man.
Night and day.
That's like, but yeah, that was definitely a good experience.
Because that's her on We Want Easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't, clearly, growing up in Maryland, I had no idea that was Michel'le talking on there. And I was like, man, that's a really interesting person, or voice they had on there.
Exactly, right.
And then later when I came to understand that was her, I was like, whoa.
Right, definitely.
She can really sing like that.
Definitely.
That's crazy. So then, as time progresses and you're doing more of these big things, one of the main records I remember hearing that stood out that was surprising at the time was the Beautiful But Deadly with the D.O.C. on the No One Can Do It Better album. Yeah. Because I remember hearing with the Run DMC and the Beastie Boys and the LL Cool J's, they'd always scratch the rock records in. Exactly. With the sampling, or they would have on Rockbox with Run DMC, they'd have people play it. But I had never heard in the '89 era a song like that. So that was really threw me off. And I, of course, loved the song. But for you, like, remembering, like, how did that actually even happen?
Because I kept playing that song in the studio, just during the downtime. I kept playing the song because it's one of my favorite tracks, Cosmic Slop, Right. And he's like, finally it just kind of like, okay, man, let's try that song.
Is that Doc or Dre?
Dr. Dre, yeah.
No, I mean, D.O.C. wanted it, or Dre Dr. Dre wanted it?
Dr. Dre, actually. Okay. Because he really approves everything anyway. So unless you just, wear him down with it, but he pretty much approves everything. And, but yeah, but Doc was definitely on board, because Doc was he liked a challenge, because the way he was writing, he was like, I don't want no regular, I want to have my own sound. And that's why his album sounds different than everybody else's album. Right. He didn't want to have the same sound that N.W.A had and Eazy and, Above the Law. But plus he was from, Texas anyway. So. Right. But that was a great album,
Absolutely.
It'll never be. That's a classic album that you never can reproduce, and so I mean that would stand out in history books for sure.
And it's also a record that I was very impressed, even when it was coming out, that there's almost no profanity on it.
And that's, yeah, you're right.
Go ahead.
No, that's what he insisted. He said, I'm not cussing on my record. He didn't want to cuss, because he didn't want to be like a gangster rapper. Right. He wanted to show his skills, and that's what he did, so.
Yeah, and it's part of why I was asking you about the different vibe of the singers versus JJ Fad versus Eazy-E. Is like with D.O.C., who I know and have interviewed and talked to both for interviews and just on our own. It's just interesting of how he in particular was able to write from these different perspectives that weren't his experience and really nail it all the time. Like whether it's Eazy, whether it's N.W.A, whether it's Snoop, or Dre, whoever.
Yeah, he could write for pretty much anybody. He can adapt to whatever the situation is or the environment.
So for you being around all of that, what did you see that made him different from, because you're around Cube, you're around Ren, Dre, everybody is writing and doing things in their own way, but what was different about what D.O.C. was doing?
Just the way he approached things, you know. Coming from Texas, he have a different mindset. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about gangs like that in Texas when he came from Texas as it was to out here. It was a kind of gang culture. So his way of looking at things was more open, you know, for interpretation. He looked at things a little different and wanted to expand beyond what LA culture was.
Yeah, and he's also, like a lot of guys that are in this world, but I mean, D.O.C. is extremely intelligent and well-read, and I think that also helps him.
It does.
Because he doesn't have a, you know, a one experience or one well that he draws from. He's drawing from like the world.
Yeah, he was, you know, educated in that where, you know, he saw the world view. And, man, very talented guy.
So then you mentioned Above the Law, and I know you work with them, and one of, you know, of course, Living Like Hustlers is phenomenal, but I also think Vocally Pimpin', a lot of people don't talk about that or understand or appreciate that that, to me, launched what became G-Funk as we know it.
Exactly.
So break that down, because I've always, chronologically speaking, that is the tipping point.
The beginning of G-Funk.
That is it.
Because if you listen to the Above the Law albums, you'll hear some of the same samples or same type of funk that you heard on all the G-Funk and, you know, in Death Row and stuff like that.
Well, I did, in fact, talk about that extensively in my book, The History of Gangster Rap. It's very well detailed.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.